Welcome boys. Okay, in this video we're going to change the rear differential fluid in the 02 Crown Vic P71. So here's what we got going on. Already got her backed up the ramps. The wind is blowing and my cardboard is blowing away. So we'll adjust and address that. But over here, under the car, the top of the differential there, well, you're gonna need some light. Okay, so up here is where our drain plug is. Well, I guess technically this is the fill plug. This car doesn't have a drain plug, so what you have to do on this P71 is, I'm guessing somebody's already changed this before because this is blue mark, because they probably were too lazy to look up torque specs, I'm guessing is what that's for. So we bust this off with a 3/8 drive, and then always take this off first. That way you know you can fill it back up in case we have a problem with the back. But we don't have a drain plug per se, so we shouldn't have them problems. And then we'll just slide around to this side and then take all these nuts, or these bolts rather, out of here. I already have the gasket inside. So get this cover off, get the fluid out. You don't really want to drive this thing and warm it up, get all this fluid kind of warm and thin. I was a bad boy and didn't do that, but I have a pump, so it's going to be faster for me just to pump the stuff out anyway, whatever's actually kind of sitting down on this side because of the angle the car is at. So I'll have a little bit in here. I can just pump it out, put that on, fill her up. It takes 1.9 quarts, and we'll get to that in a minute, but just letting you know how we're going to tackle this step by step. Okay, drain plug, or correction, fill plug is out. Sorry, I'm used to cars with a drain plug. The magnet did capture some metallic-y stuff there. Hopefully that's just a little bit of goo. You can see we're a few threads in, are clean. The rest on the outside are nasty. I'll get the actual torque specs when I go inside and refer to the manual, because I'm going to need to know them for when I bolt the back ones on. But no fluid came out once we pulled the plug. And I know the BMWs was something like 30 foot-pounds, so I'm going to assume this is something similar, but I'll get you the exact torque specs once we go inside and check that out. So, alright, onto the back cover, and then we can get the yucky stuff out of it. Okay, I found a 13mm will fit, but it's a little looser than the 1/2 inch, so I would go 1/2 inch. 1/2 inch on the rear differential bolts. So we're going to go ahead and bust them loose and then collect the nasty stuff in our tub there. Okay, so I've been pulling the bolts out and then putting them in a pattern so I don't forget where they go. Might not make a difference, they all seem to be the same size, but just in case, better safe than sorry. And as it turns out, the way this was sitting up in here, it actually conceals 2 of them. So once you get everything that's obvious, with the exception of the top one, I still have that one in there, so I can kind of pry it down and let all the fluid drip out. Not the whole cover coming off at once. Once you pull this rubber thing off, there's actually 2 more in here. So we'll just have to note, the first 2 we put back on the bottom, will be these 2. Then put the rubber thing on, then put the bolts through those holes there. So keep that in mind. Alright, we'll get the other 2. We'll pry her loose, and then all the fluid should drain out. Okay, well, we got some coming out now. Well, it's a fucking bitch because the wind is blowing these streams, and somebody put like 100 gallons of freaking RTV in here. Because, you know, gaskets be damned. So we'll go ahead and get this crap draining out of here. I'll try to pry this thing off as best as I can. Then we'll start the shitty process of cleaning all this RTV off. And then I bought an actual gasket so it can go back on much more civilized for next time. This is always the one doing it again, assuming the car survives long enough. And there she is, boys, the inside of the differential. None of my cars I've ever had to do this for. They've all had drain plugs on the diff. I suppose theoretically I could have stuck that pump down, sucked it all out, and then pumped it full like I do on the Corvette. On the Corvette, it's not a solid axle. It has independent rear suspension, so the plug's actually on the side. So it's actually much easier to do that because it just goes right in the side and then sucky, sucky, and then pumpy, pumpy. This one, because it's way in front on the top, I wasn't sure if I could even get anything down here to suck a bunch out. So unfortunately I'll probably just have to do this every time, but that's okay, I guess. And stuff reeks, by the way. Doesn't look too bad. I mean, it looks like dirty, but it doesn't look horrendous. And everything else in here looks pretty good. It looks like I don't see any broken teeth or anything on any of these gears. So I'd say we're good. Just gotta scrape all this damn RTV off. Looks like most of this is actually clean, though. I just gotta get a little bit of RTV brake parts clean and clean that up. The majority of it is on this guy. But at the very least, it's on the inside, so we'll get it out of there. And we got more on the outside for some reason. Better safe than sorry, maybe was the logic behind that. I don't know, but we'll clean it out, and I'm going to put a gasket on it. I got, I think, more than enough brake parts clean to get her done, so let's get her done. And this is the fruits of my labor, which is used a combination of engine degreaser, brake parts cleaner, and acetone, along with that plastic scraper, that dishwasher green scrubby pad thing, and now it's nice and fairly decent in there. So go ahead and flip her upside down so no debris gets in there. Go ahead and clean out the car, that mating surface, and then we'll put the gasket on. And maybe Callie wants to come help us. Want to come help? No? You want to go do whatever you're going to go do? Alright, well, do what you got to do. Okay, so using my little bristle brush there, nylon, acetone, and then finishing up with some brake cleaner. We managed to get this as clean as that's going to get. And then I also used my little pump to pump every last molecule I could of settled diff lube out. And so we're good. We'll put the gasket on, we'll put our cover back, and then we'll pump some new fluids in, and I'll let you know what the torque specs are and everything here. And in case I didn't mention, here is the part number for this thing. And I went ahead and set this over here, and all the holes do line up, so we are good to go. We're just ready to fix this and then get her started with some bolts. Okay, so here's our gasket, and there's my bolt pattern. So these guys are going to be 396 inch-pounds or 33 foot-pounds of torque, and then this one is going to be 264 inch-pounds or 22 foot-pounds. So 22, 33, or 396, 264. Okay, so we'll get our cover, gasket, line them up, and torque to spec. Alright, our cover's back on. Everything went well. Torque to spec. So we'll go ahead and use that pump I've got. Oh, I guess I never showed that. I actually got two of these things. I got one for the diff lube. It's this guy. And then I have a separate one for transmission fluid only. That way we don't ever cross-contaminate anything. But this threads down into the bottle, and then you just kind of pump it. And once I get a bottle, I'll show that. That's how my little deal attaches. See, so it threads onto here, and then that tube goes down in there. So you go pump, 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 and it'll just pump it up into the fill hole. So this thing takes 1.8 liters, also known as like 1.9 quarts, and the I believe it calls for like 80 W90, but word on the street is the P71s take 75 W140, and that they changed that after some time, so that my book might not be accurate. So I could split the difference, but I'm probably just going to roll 75 W140 because more is not necessarily bad in this case. Starts chattering or making noise, I can always pump it out and then put some more in there of a thinner, but I think it should be okay with 75 W140. Alrighty, boys, so it looks like whenever I went to go torque it back to spec, the fill plug, the blue line was right at where it torqued out, so Could have been a coincidence, or maybe whoever changed it first actually did mark it and didn't have a torque wrench. In any case, that was actually correct, so we all good on that. And it actually took about the 1.9 or the full 2 quarts. What happened was my little pump device only goes up, I mean, it leaves about 4 ounces of diff fluid in each bottle left, so I had to combine them, and then at that point I could still only get it down to 4 ounces remaining. I mean, I could have sawed the top of the bottle off maybe, but get down to the bottom. But in any case, after that, I had a spare third container of some Lucas diff lube. I believe that was 80W90. So, you know, I watered it down a little with some 80W90, but the rest is 75W140, and it topped off at about the 2 quart mark whenever the car was level, or as level as this actually is. It's actually facing down a little bit, but I actually drove it down the ramps to make it as level as possible. But if you wanted to know, if you wanted to actually drive it up the ramps, you know, so it's like now the opposite direction, so you can fit more in it, it's just put the 2 quarts in and then you're golden. So alright, that's how we do the diff lube on the 02 Crown Vic. We got no leaks and we are good to go. So thanks for watching, guys. Peace.